Happy Halloween! Welcome back to Green Heart Glowing. I'm Kara, and today I'm going to do an energy reading for you. First, I want to clear the space and the energy with a little bit of sage. White sage, I think this is. Anyone ever notice how long this takes to light? Just a little. This one's really strong. Clearing the energy. Okay, let's just set that aside. Let it keep working while we go through the session. This is my pumpkin I carved yesterday. I tried to carve my dog who just passed in June. I say that with a smile on my face, but I'm obviously going through a horrible grief process. And, not horrible, but I guess, I don't know the word for it. It's just really, really, really hard. I don't know if you've ever lost a animal companion, but yeah, it's been very difficult for me since June. And so I tried to carve her as a pumpkin. Her name was Danny, and her eyes are a little weird and it all looks a little weird, but I did my best and feels like she's here with me a little bit. Let's start with an angel card. See the word that wants to come out and speak to us right now. Maybe Danny will come through. Expectancy. This card I pulled the other day, and I actually researched, what does that word mean? And, because that feeling of you're waiting for something to happen, expecting something to happen. And I was thinking, how they're always how you always hear about staying in the present moment, and we're kind of always living ahead, expecting something to happen, waiting for something to happen. And that experience can take us out of the moment that we're living in. And so we're never completely in the moment that we're in. So I pulled that card the other day and I looked it up, and I realized that expectancy has to do with the opening to receive and the trust that it takes to sit in the unknown, knowing that it's you can't help it. I think there's a difference between you can feel and know when something is incoming, there's something that's about to change in your life, but you can't see it yet. And so then that space where you have to sit and trust that, maybe you made a decision that brought you to this space, that was a risk, let's say. And so now you're thinking, what next? What's going to happen next? And you can't see it yet. And so expectancy was about and is about it being in that space, but trusting to be open to receive, to trust the flow and the timing, and to know that it's coming and that it's on its own timeline. So yeah, expectancy, that was pulled for us today too, which is, maybe there's others out there kind of in that what do I do now space. It's coming. It's coming, but you don't have to. One of my favorite teachers is Tosha Silver. She has a book called Outrageous Openness. And she talks about basically the idea of manifesting your desires and creating your reality and all that kind of Abraham Hicks type of talk, and Joe Dispenza and people like that. Where that kind of mentality, I've gone through the many years of all throughout my life trying different modalities of spirituality and just seeing how each one kind of fits for me and feels. And the creating your own reality part always made me sort of feel like I'm doing something wrong. Like I'm doing something wrong. I'm trying to manifest this thing and this thing isn't happening. So I must not be thinking positively enough. I must not be putting enough energy into like the creation process. And it honestly kind of made me feel really low. Like it didn't ever resonate in a way that felt like truth. And so with Tosha Silver, what I love about her teachings is that she says to open to like you have a desire and then you give that desire to the universe, you give that desire to spirit, and you say, this is the desire. Now either like it's either going to happen in the right timing or letting it go and trusting that the things that are supposed to happen are going to happen, not to try and fix and create and plan your reality in a way that like, because reality just comes and situations happen that we can't control. And having the trust in divine timing and the trust in when something is meant for you, it happens. And if you have a desire and that desire is not meant for you, it won't happen. But maybe something better will, you know, maybe the desire will lead you somewhere that's better than you can possibly have even thought of before. It's about just having that like radical trust in, you don't have to force and manipulate life. You can just relax and receive and allow life to guide you versus you kind of trying to strangle it and make it a whole whatever reality you have sort of like in your mind. It really helps. I highly recommend looking into her work, and I'll link her in my description as well. Because yeah, it just has really made life feel more easy because I trust that whatever is meant to happen is going to happen. And if I just keep following that voice and that feeling of this is the next step, even if this step doesn't take me where I thought that step was going to take me, I trust the step, and then I trust the next step, and so on. If that made sense. I'm pulling a Nature's Whispers card. Oh. Hope and happiness. Card number 48. All right. You have reached a time filled with healing energy, new progress, and satisfaction. You are at a point for festivity. The energy in this phase is supportive and promotes a feeling of winning. Let worries or challenges from the past fade away as you focus on the joy that is surrounding you. Feel encouraged and excited about the potential of all the wonderful promises that are being kept. Celebrate and enjoy your life. Aw. Somehow that felt like it came from Danny, and it just makes me feel comfort. Well, I guess the only other thing that I want to really kind of touch on is the fact that this is the astrology part. If you're interested in astrology, the transits coming up, actually one's happening on the 29th, so when you see this video, it's already happened. Mercury moved into Sagittarius, which is Mercury's detriment. Doesn't really like being in Sagittarius because Sagittarius is very kind of overwhelming and overstimulating, and Mercury being the sign of communication and transportation, it can just kind of get very like a lot feeling. But then Mercury is going to oppose Uranus, and that's happening on, I believe it's November 2nd. I do have it written down. Oh, no. That's the 29th. Okay, so that is going to happen and oppose Uranus, and basically that's like the electricity to the mind. The other transit that's happening is then Mars is going to move into Sagittarius, and that is going to oppose Uranus on November 4th. That's the other date that I was getting mixed up. And that transit is about like the shock to the body, to the system. So with Mercury opposing Uranus in Sagittarius, there can be like this feeling of you suddenly have clarity about something, but maybe it doesn't come in the way that feels like pleasant. It feels shocking, you know, this like a revelation that feels suddenly like, oh. Or it could also be you have a revelation that feels clear now. And since Mercury is in its pre-shadow phase, which is basically like before Mercury goes retrograde, there's this what's called a pre-shadow phase. There's kind of this setup right now happening where you are going to have to go back into your choices that were made up until now. Like, I want to say most of 2025 has been that way. Like, the reason I'm kind of getting stuck with what I'm saying right now is because I sometimes feel like there's just it's kind of taking me back to the expectancy card, where sometimes astrology, if I don't feel that it's coming through in the way that I don't want to be the shock to the system. That's kind of what I'm like I don't want my words, whoever's watching this. A lot of astrology, what I struggle with about it is that it becomes sort of like the next bad transit that's about to happen, the next, thing to be braced for, the next thing to feel like, oh no, and like you can frame that either. I mean, there are astrologers who frame it in more like of a positive light. But intuitively right now, what I'm feeling and hearing and having come to me is that just be aware that on October 29th, there was a big transit that could have happened where you felt like you received information or suddenly something came to you that felt like an electric, like a wake up call to your mind. And then on November 4th, there's going to be another one that's going to be more embodied, meaning you need to take action on something or something around you makes a sudden change, okay? So the energies of those 2 days is what I want to point to. I don't want to get really into the parts where you have to start bracing and being afraid, because to me, that is where you can start blocking the receptiveness, like we were talking about with expectancy, of the flow, of the allowing and seeing what unfolds and not being afraid to kind of take the next step. Because I think that's a responsibility that astrologers have, and some do kind of take advantage of it being very, oh, this is going to be the biggest transit that we've ever had, like that kind of gets said a lot. And I'm not discrediting it at all, because we have been living through some extremely intense transits. As you can see, like that's so obvious of what's happening. But I think right now we're all at the like limit of what we can handle and then some. And I feel like somewhere in there, we've gotten locked into this trap of feeling that the worst is yet to come, like that we can't settle in and feel safe, because everything is so chaotic right now. And, that's just the truth and the reality of the world, is that there is so much kind of going crazy. But what I want to bring today is the idea that, like, follow these transits, see kind of like what's the energy going on in these days. Like, I'll always look at astrology and think like that day might have the potential for stronger energy, but that energy can also be like, oh, I figured it out, I'm gonna go this way. Okay, it can be both positive and negative, and it can also just be neutral, but it will be more likely a stronger energy on that day. I hope that makes sense. So for this video and this week of transits happening, October 29th and November 4th are the days that I would say just make a note of, like, possibly going to be stronger energy. And maybe going forward, I'll have I'll share the transits in a way where you don't have to get so worked up about, oh God, oh God, oh God, because it can make you just feel anxious. And we're already feeling anxious. So yeah, my message today just was feeling this block while I was trying to share about, like, what this transit is supposed to be like. Let the transit happen and see what it was like for you. And maybe it wasn't anything because it's not running into your particular chart in any sort of way. So that's what I'm going to share about the astrology today, because I want you to not feel like, well, it's not that I want you to not feel a certain way. It's that I want to present information that feels like supportive and not overstimulating, because that is Mercury opposing Uranus. That overstimulation, that feeling like I cannot take any more. I can't take any more. So everything that I just said was like a perfect example of Mercury opposing Uranus. And sometimes that's how astrology plays out, especially for me, because I'm somebody who, like, I am extremely impacted by energies. And that's one of the reasons that this channel is hard for me, because I feel so much at all times and it feels hard to convey. Like, I'll watch other videos and be like, wow, that was really succinct, to the point, and clear. And I think a lot of that too is because people write scripts and read them. And I just can't get myself to do that. I feel like it blocks everything for me to read something. Like, I feel like it wouldn't translate. But so here I am, I'm trying, and I'm trying not to focus on anything other than just being here and appreciating whoever decides to tune in and be here with me for these, like, 20-minute videos. Yeah. And I saw something earlier that said, don't be afraid to lose people. Be afraid of losing yourself by trying to please everyone around you. And that's what I'm practicing right now in this, in my life in general. But this channel is like, I'm unmasking, I'm showing myself more. I'm not editing, and I'm trying to not focus on not being everyone's cup of tea, and, really just trusting that the people that resonate with me will find me. That's how it always works, but it's gonna, be a process. And I'm just a human. Well, I'm also a spiritual person too, but I have all of my human feelings about being seen and perceived and misunderstood. And it's why I've, hidden for so long and masked for so long because it's kind of easier, I think, to be not seen in some ways, but then in a lot of ways it's not easier. It's actually kind of harder, because at some point something in you needs to express itself. So that's why I'm here every week so far, since my dogs died, honestly. And it's been something that's been helpful for me to focus on, while I'm going through grief, but it's also been really challenging because grief covers everything. Like it, can distort you and make you feel like so many different ways. It's such a cloud, it's such a whole body experience to go through grief. So who's ever watched me since the beginning so far, you've seen my grief process, even though I haven't really shared about it, but I'll be interested to see how my energy continues to change and evolve, like from the start of this channel until who knows how long. But here's a quote I'm going to end with. Although many people strive to be perfect, those who become wise know that perfection is a kind of death, and that our weird imperfections actually keep us alive. It turns out that the word perfect means finished or complete, or to go through the form. So that perfect means you've gone all the way through. And that makes perfection perhaps flawless, but also ultimately lifeless. Being fully alive means becoming more conscious of how we are wounded. And becoming a whole person means learning how to live with our wounds and our imperfections, rather than trying to figure out how to avoid them. From Meade. One more card before we leave. Love that idea of what that quote said. I always stop myself from doing everything because I feel like it won't be perfect enough. Even this video, I'm sitting here, talking and being like, said that wrong. Like that's going on in my head this whole time. And so I'm trying to work with that voice, because I know that's just the scared, protective part of me, not wanting to be misunderstood. And yet it's still there. I'm not pretending it's not there, I'm not faking confidence. I'm just being myself as much as I can be anyway. Ooh, okay. Not for you. Card number 6. Okay. A clear knowing that something is being denied you. Rejection is God's protection. Oh, this is interesting. This is what I was just talking about. There are times when it appears that no matter how deeply you desire something, no matter how hard you work at something, the result you seek always seems to elude you. It's as if you don't really get to be in the game and you feel you're just watching from the sidelines. The appearance of this card indicates that you are not going to attain what you want right now, that indeed your dreams for the exact thing will not be fulfilled. This is what I was just saying earlier. Okay. This is a time to radically accept that not everything is available to you when you want it. Take heart, for there are benevolent forces who desire the best for you and have a much clearer idea of what is for your highest good. Rejection is God's protection. Something much better that will make you truly happy is on its way. Trust this. That's what I just said. Love that. Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing some of your energy with me today. And I'll be back soon for another energy reading. And remember, you are right where you need to be, supported by forces that you can't see.